Hey guys, FirstinWeather here. I hope you're having a great Super Bowl Sunday evening. But I just wanted to make this quick video. Well, it's not really going to be quick actually, but I wanted to make this video that's basically going to cover why we're not seeing any good snowstorms in the eastern United States at this time of year, because usually from late January to mid-February we're supposed to be seeing lots of winter storms forming, basically a really active pattern for the eastern United States, and this is historically when we see our biggest and most historical snowstorms for the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. So why is this not happening? Well, first let me show you what is happening. So if we go into the to a more regional view right now. So this is like basically right now, and so as you know, there's been some pretty big interior snows for the Northeast, and then mainly rain for the Mid-Atlantic and the coastal sections of the Northeast. They're not really a good snowstorm, and if you notice, a lot of the storms are projected to track. Let me erase that real quick. A lot of the storms are tracking like this. Let me change that color for you too. Yeah, that's better. Oh wait, never mind. Let's change it to, let's see. Yeah, that's good. So a lot of the storms over the next couple of weeks are projected to track like this. And so that's going to give rain to this area, and then a mix in this area, and then snow right here. And so this is really not good news for snow lovers in the Mid-Atlantic and interior portions, and coastal sections of the Northeast, because you have all this warm air from the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean just pouring in, giving in lots of warm air, preventing any real snowfall. And so if we take this through, the GFS then has another system, but look at this. It tracks like this. So let me draw that track for you. It goes like this, and then boom, whop, just goes straight up. And so there are a couple of reasons for this, and that's something I'll explain in a couple of minutes. So that goes through another system, and this one even goes farther to the left. It goes like this, and so that's all rain for the interior Northeast, and maybe some snows down here. So really a very unfavorable pattern for the Mid-Atlantic and in coastal sections of the Northeast. And I'm sorry to tell you guys, people who are snow lovers, I know that people who don't like snow are probably really happy right now, especially for people in the Mid-Atlantic. They're probably very happy, but I know, including myself, I'm very disappointed in the pattern that we're seeing. And I'm just going to be honest. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat anything, but the pattern right now is absolutely horrible for snowstorms for the Mid-Atlantic, and it doesn't look like that's going to change for a good couple of weeks or so, and this really is not good news. But why is this happening? Well, we go to the next page right here. It's all because, it's mostly because of this NAO, and just look at this. This NAO has been so positive now for a very long time, and usually at this time of year the NAO turns negative. Historically, the NAO is negative at this time of year, and as you can see, it's positive. So what does that do? Well, you have this big area of warm waters over here, and so let me clear that up for you guys. Let's see. Alright, so let me clear that up. Alright, so you have this big area of warm waters right here, and so basically when you have colder waters, you have that huge high, that big block, and that low over here, or that high over here, and so it goes like boom, boom, big cold air storms right up the East Coast, and you have big snowstorms for this area right here, lots of snowstorms, and it's a really good pattern. However, this time, unfortunately, what you have is the high pressure is more down here due to this big positive NAO, and so what's happening is you have it going more like this. And since this PDO is very weak and it's even kind of negative, instead of a high right here you have a low, so it's something like this and like this, and that's a very unfavorable pattern. And as you might know, I did forecast this a little bit in my winter forecast, so I had that low right here preventing the storms from really intensifying here. But with my winter forecast, the way I had it was, I had the storms going more like this. So you had I had the jet stream more like this, and then due to the high pressure right here, which I thought would be in place, I thought it would go like this, and there would be cold air here, and warm air in the central United States. So cold air here, and then warm air over here. However, that high pressure that I was forecasting for the Southwest never really materialized, and unfortunately that's caused the jet stream to go like this, at this stage, and that's pumping in that warm air right here, and that is what's forcing those storms to go to the west of us. And when those storms go to the west of us, that's what causes that warm air to go into the southeast, the mid-Atlantic, the northeast, providing that warm air for us, which is making it impossible for snow except for areas of the interior northeast. So over the next couple of weeks, the pattern looks very active but just very rainy, not much snow. If you want to get some snow, my best bet would be for let's see. My best bet would be for these areas right here, like this area. That's the only area where you're gonna really see some good snows. And my worst areas, well, that's pretty obvious. All right here, nothing, 0. It's really quite unfortunate, but as an amateur meteorologist, I can't really be biased. I have to say what's happening, and unfortunately, as of now, nothing really favorable is happening at all. And so, let's look at the NAO real quick. Or let's look at the EPO. So we know that the NAO is positive, and that is what's causing this high right here to be further south, and that's what's also causing there not to be a big high south of Greenland. So usually what happens is when you have that negative NAO, which is common for this time of year, which is unfortunately not happening this year, you have that cold air, that jet stream being forced down. So all that cold air from Canada, where does it go? Well, it goes south, and that brings that cold air, and that makes the storms go up. But this time, the NAO is positive, so that's not happening. Also, for favorable conditions for snowstorms in the eastern United States, you need that EPO to be negative. And if you look at this over the past few days, past week or so, the NAO has been completely positive. And so if you look at right here, it's been all positive, positive. And so that is not good for snowstorm development in the eastern United States. While that may be good for areas in the central U.S., but for the mid-Atlantic, that isn't good for a big-time East Coast nor'easter snowstorm type situation, and it's really just not favorable. However, if you look at this, if I go back, look at this. This is the 14-day EPO forecast. That is very negative. Look at that. Look at these numbers right here. That is sharply negative for the next 14 days or so, and that's a very good sign. So if we look at the NAO has been really positive. All right, right here, all right here. But look at this. The latest projections are making it go neutral. Now it's going to be really interesting to see whether this is just a little short-term trend or if it's going to be a longer-term trend. Because look at this. When it went neutral, it went back up to positive, then slightly neutral, back up to positive, neutral, back up to positive, neutral, back up to positive, and that's how it's been since December. So it's going to be interesting. It's been a while now since we've gone negative, and since it really has been a while, I do think this time there's a good chance we might go negative. And if you look at this, it's going like this, right? So this could go back up, or it could go back down, and that, if this happens, that's also very good. So either way, even if the NAO goes negative, that's much better than that big positive NAO. And then if we look at the EPO, that's also going negative, which is good for East Coast snowstorm. Now let's look at the PNA index, and the PNA is also very important for the development of snowstorms in the eastern United States. And as you know, we've not been seeing any of that recently. And so if you look right here, look at that. You have a big area of negative. Not a big area, excuse me. You've had a long duration of negative PNA, and that's not good if you want a snowstorm for the eastern United States. And so if you look right here, for the past 10 days or so, 10-15 days, the PNA has been strongly negative, and that's very bad for East Coast snowstorms. So let me just draw it out for you real quick. So the PNA, if that's positive, it's basically going to help the jet stream to dig further south, bringing in colder air. However, when it's negative, it basically does the opposite. It brings colder air. It helps to bring colder air over here and warmer air over here. And as you know, warm air does not correlate to correlate to snowstorms in the eastern United States. And so again, now if we look in the 14-day forecast, look at this. The PNA is forecasted to go strongly positive, and that's very good. So now you have the EPO going negative, which is good, the PNA going positive, which is good, and you have the NAO going neutral. Alright? And so that is really a good sign. However, In mid-January, it was really looking like early February would have a big Arctic outbreak. The first couple of weeks of February would be really cold in the eastern United States, multiple possibilities for snowstorms, and as you know, that did not develop at all. So if this basically chokes and doesn't happen, then I would basically say the winter's over for a large portion of the country, especially the eastern United States. But if this holds up, then it's going to be interesting. We'll have to keep on watching, because if all these indicators hold up, then it could become interesting from February 16th onwards for the next week or so after that. But again, there's a good chance a lot of this will change, and as you saw previously, that did actually happen. A lot of stuff did change. But let's keep on going, because if these things can hold up, then I'm pretty sure we're gonna see an Arctic outbreak in the eastern United States after mid-February. But that again is only if this holds up. So now let's go to the AO. The Arctic Oscillation is also an important factor in determining the East Coast snowstorm potential for the eastern United States. And as you can see, it's been neutral. Nothing too great, really. Nothing really too great. All neutral right in here. And for the AO, you want it to be negative, and that helps bring that colder air into the eastern United States and helps carve that jet stream into a big trough. And the trough is like this, and that is what helps bring those snowstorms up the eastern United States. But it's been mostly neutral, so it's been basically more of a non-factor. And but as you can see right here, the forecasted track, look at this, it's forecasted to go pretty daggone negative. If you see that right there, those are pretty good values. You have -2, -3, and by the way, I don't know why I use that word, but I don't know. But as you can see, it's going to go pretty negative, -2 to -3, and that's not bad. That's good for the AO to go that negative. That's pretty good. But again, we just have to see if that holds up. As you can see, it's been pretty neutral, but it's looking like it might go negative as we head into mid-February. So that's also a good sign. It's a very good sign. And then again, here's the NAO going positive, going neutral. And now finally, we have the MJO. And so this is the index forecast from the 3rd of February to the 17th. And so before, you had the GFS saying, and a lot of other models saying, that the MJO was going to go like this, and it's going to go all the way over here. And as you know, when it goes like this, that means it's a very strong MJO. And a strong MJO in phase 8 and phase 1 is most often means very cold air for the eastern United States. When you have a MJO that's strong in the phase 8 and phase 1 portions, it brings a lot of cold air for this area and a lot of warm air for this area. But as we headed closer, the GFS started saying, nope, hold on a second. It started making the MJO go like this, and that's a very weak. This is very weak. This is a very weak MJO, and that is not good. However, now the models have started to make it stronger again, like this. And so that is a good sign. However, will this hold up? That is the main question for us. So as you can see, all the factors are pointing to a East Coast snowstorm, or basically a stormier pattern, or a more wintry pattern for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast in the next couple of weeks, from mid-February to the end of February. However, I cannot say this enough. This is exactly what they were saying in mid-January for early February. But what happened? Nothing. Warm air from the eastern United States. However, if this does materialize, if all these factors stay like this, if all the weather models continue to indicate at this strong MJO in phase 8 and phase 1 and phase 2, and the strong negative EPO and the strong positive PNA, the negative AO, the neutral NAO, and they continue to say that for the next few days, then I'm going to definitely start considering the possibility of a very stormy latter half of February for the eastern United States. So again, I'll update you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it really kind of explains to you guys why we're not really seeing any snowstorms for the eastern United States. And that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to ask me any questions in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time.